Okay guys, so today we're going to be looking at the ring muscle up. Now arguably this is the most complex gymnastic movement that we have in CrossFit. It involves the rings, which are unstable compared to the the gymnastic bar, which is stable. It also requires a lot of upper body pulling strength and pressing strength, plus coordination. So we're going to break things down as much as we can. We've got Jacqueline demoing the movements. And how we're going to start off is looking at some basic strength that you may need. And this basic strength really is going to make things easier. So when you apply the technique with the basic strength, it's a lot easier to put things together rather than just doing one or the other first. So the first thing we're actually going to do, we're going to start with the dip press. So the first thing Jacqueline's going to do, she's going to come up into a push-up position. And actually what we want to see is that Jacqueline can do a slow and controlled push-up. So stop. So we're going to stay through the hollow body. We've got both elbows. They're actually going to be pointing and going backwards. So Jacqueline's going to hold this position, go down slowly, and then come back up. And relax. So really that's the first point we're going to be looking at, is that Jacqueline can do a slow and controlled push-up without having to lose any of her body positions in order to achieve that. Next, Jacqueline's going to come onto the rings, and we're simply going to look at a ring dip. We could call this kind of stage 2 of the pressing strength that's needed. So Jacqueline's going to come onto the rings, she's going to dip down, and then press back up. She will show one more, she's going to dip down, and then she's going to press back up. So, we'll kind of call that stage 2. If you can do a strict ring dip, your life on the ring muscle ups is going to be a lot easier, because what often happens is some people will arrive, they'll get into the bottom position and they really struggle to press out, and it doesn't make for an efficient or pretty movement. So, strict push-up, and a strict ring dip. The next we're going to look at is our pulling capacity. The first thing we're going to do is Jack is just going to hop on the pull-up bar because it's slightly easier. And she's just going to notice that the hands are pronated. And Jack is going to do a pull-up as high as she can. And then back down and relax. So what you saw there is that Jacqueline managed to touch the chest of the bar in a strict pull-up. And this pulling strength is obviously very important. We've got a transition from the hang through a transfer to here. And the more strength I have, the easier that is going to be. So we'll just show once more. It's in essence a strict chest to bar pull-up. Okay. We're now going to transfer that to the rings, and we're going to do the same thing. So Jack is just going to hop up, hit a strict pull-up. And back down, and once more, and back down. One thing that was just important to note about that pull-up is you notice how Jacqueline stayed in what we call the hollow position as we go through there. So, Jacqueline, as we saw, she's very comfortable with the strict ring dip, she's very comfortable with a strict pull-up, and kind of from that point now we're going to start looking at how we can move into the technique needed for a ring muscle up. We're going to start at the bottom of the rings. And what Jacqueline is going to do, she's going to hop up and do what we call some ring swings. So she's, in essence, just going to move between hollow, arch, hollow, arch, hollow, arch. And one thing I want you to notice is that the rings are actually moving. This is very important, that the rings are moving backwards and forwards as well. So Jacqueline relaxes down. If she goes and does the same thing on the gymnastic bar, what you'll notice is that hollow, arch, the body positions are very similar. However, the gymnastic bar is obviously not moving because it's fixed in place. So this movement of the rings becomes very important later on when we start to have control of the rings. So Jacqueline's going to hop up again, just show us once more, just hit 5 hip swings for us. Yeah, just small. So legs are straight, there's no excessive angles in the body, and Jacqueline actually has a slight pullback on the rings, which gives us the angle that we need and want. Okay, so that's the first point, our basic ring muscle up swings. What's going to happen now is Jacqueline's going to add a slight pull into this. So she's going to do the swing again, she's then going to pull the rings towards her chest, she's going to push away, she's going to hit a couple more swings, she's going to pull again. Yeah, so we'll just do 2 sets of that. So, no. So just ring swings, pull chest to ring swings, chest to ring. Okay, so that's showing 2 crucial things. You can see now, actually things are starting to get a bit more technical. If you guys try this drill at home, you'll actually find that the balance can be quite hard, coming from the pull back into the hip swing. And this is a very important thing to start, because if you can't have this control and balance, you will find multiple reps quite hard to achieve. So what we're now going to move into is looking at the transition. Now, if you have this first basic strength with the pressing and the pulling, then you also understand the start of the kip swings that we go through. The transition shouldn't be a big effort. You should have that strength through. In essence, what we do, we create self, we've pulled the rings, and all we're going to do is sit up and through. So we go from this hang position through. Once we arrive here, we sit up and transition onto the top of the rings. So Jack is just going to do 3 transitions. And that's how we want the transitions to look. It's smooth, it looks quite effortless, because Jacqueline is well practiced at this. And what we are doing, sitting up to the top of the rings. Now, once we're at this point, a lot of people start to struggle, either because they've not arrived in a good position, they've either arrived too deep, or they're very off balance. However, we're now going to move over to the blocks and start to look at some drills we now want to do in order to come out of the ring muscle up to achieve the lockout on the top of the dip. So, in the same with the basic ring swings, this drill is all about the technique. So one of the big aspects is when people arrive to the top of their ring muscle up, if they have the basic strength, that's great, but if they don't know what position they should then move in, the ring muscle up becomes very challenging at the end. So as you can see, what we've done is we've just built up on some weightlifting platforms and put some dumbbells on. The reason we've done this is because the rings are innately unstable, so creating the stability here makes life a lot easier to practice, because in essence you're just moving and you don't have to control the movement of the rings. So you can see this is trying to mimic the ring setup. So Jack is just going to hop at the top, and she's going to do what's called support swings. So she hops on. So if you notice, we're actually doing very similar to what we're doing on the rings. We're just feeling comfortable in that swing position. And relax. So these are our support swings. Jacqueline's then going to come on to and perform dip swings. Again, very similar. We're just getting comfortable with the movement and this control. So as you can see, swing forward, swing back, swing forward, and swing back. Okay. Now I need you to use your imagination a little bit here. And what you've got to imagine, or what you can remember from Jacqueline's transition, is that when she arrived in the transition, her body was in this hollow position. That means her feet are in front. And with the momentum, the feet will naturally want to go back. And we're going to use that natural momentum to help us push out and dip out of the ring muscle up. So what Jacqueline's going to do now, she's going to come into the bottom of the dip, she's going to do some swings, and she's going to dip out when she feels her body weight start to rise. Okay? So this is what we call our ring dip for muscle up. She's going to do it once more, and what you should start to have felt, just do the dip swings for me, is that at a certain point, you see there, the shoulder actually starts to come up again. And at that slight moment where the shoulder starts to come up again, at that moment of weightlessness, we start to dip out. A very common mistake is you'll see people dip out too early, and what happens there is that you start having to rely on just strength, and it becomes hard. So, just show it, if you can, try and show one where you tried to dip out too early. And just show a good one again. Good. So as you can see on the first example, Jacqueline, she made it obviously because she's got the basic strength, it just wasn't very efficient. The second one was a lot easier for her to manage to come through. So we've now got all these components. We've got our ring swings, we've got our transition, and now we've got our dip swings. What we need to be able to do is bring all of these aspects together in order to complete the ring muscle up. So we'll head back to the rings. Now what we're actually going to do is Jacqueline's going to go back to the transition. She's going to do some dip swings, let's say 3 dip swings, then on the third one she's going to dip out and complete the final stage of the ring muscle up. So we're going to look at that now. And there we have our ring muscle up. Now, Jacqueline's been working for years to get to that stage, and it's not an easy process to get there. But if you are consistent, it can happen. We actually have basic gymnastic strength and technique programs that can help you with all these basic elements. Now, when you guys want to start practicing, my biggest recommendation would be to practice the parts individually before putting it together. Really, there's no need to just go all in, trying to get a ring muscle up, practice it that way. What I would actually do is perfect the ring swings, perfect the chest to ring, start to perfect the transition, perfect the ring dip, and then eventually when you all start to put it together, it will feel very easy because you've built the foundations. We're just going to have a look now at, Jackie's just going to do 3 reps of the ring muscle up, and we're just going to see that being all put together now. So, there we have our ring muscle up. I just want to give you guys one last piece, and the reason is for this last piece is a lot of people have the strength, they've started work on the technique, but they're not confident in the transition. So this last piece is just for you guys who struggle with those transitions. We're going to go back to stable blocks and work it from there. So we'll just head back to the blocks. So what this exercise is doing is more, we shouldn't use this really as a strengthening drill. It can be used as an accessory, but for the people who are building up, it's more just to gain confidence in transitioning through. So this is called the Russian dip. Jacqueline starts on her elbows and then shoots forward into the dip position, and then she can choose or not if she dips out and back through. So because the transition is arguably the most unique part of the ring muscle up, in the sense you have to transition from under to over, it's a part that people don't feel confident on, and so breaking it down and practicing it here is a great place to do it. Jacqueline wanted to show one more drill, which was in essence taking each part of what we've just practiced and putting it into the ring. Yeah? So this is a complex that Jacqueline used to use in order to build up her development on the ring muscle up. And what you'll see is basically each part put together in one complex. So this is in essence the full complex, and once you've started, this is a very good drill to kind of develop mastery of the ring muscle up. So Jacqueline holds up, she's got her small kip, large kip, now chest to ring, now transition, now dip swings, then a ring dip, and then the full ring muscle up. So you can see there that we have the full ring muscle up, but we also have the components that build the whole picture. So, as I said, we do have programs that specifically focus on gymnastics. You can find those on our website under the sign up page under gymnastics. We do hope this tutorial helped. If you have any questions or comments, place them below and we will get back to you. Thank you.